Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio, and I am just really excited to be here tonight, 9:30 Mountain Standard Time, Calgary, Alberta, and it's just an awesome night. It's my birthday, and so that just makes it a really great night. And I'm really glad to be here tonight to share this information with you. This is child abuse prevention, and human rights abuse prevention is up to us. And I sure hope that you'll get something out of this show. And if you have comments or anything that you'd like to discuss or talk about, like different topics or information that you have that you'd like to share regarding healing or the road to recovery from post-traumatic stress disorder and just the stresses of growing up in an abusive home or domestic violence, issues like that, be sure and get that information to me. You can phone in. I have a guest call-in number. That's area code 917-889-3736. And you can always phone in. And if I also have my chat window up, and if you'd like to, I don't have it actually open where I can see it all the time, but I do check it. So if I don't get back to you right away, just sort of hang on there because I'll just pop back in and out and answer any questions that I can. And also, if you have something that you'd just like to keep private, make sure you put private on there so I don't share it with everybody. And I'd love to hear from you. I just started this not that long ago, maybe a little bit over a month ago, and it's just such an awesome medium to share survivor stories and just to share some information that I'm finding on my walk, my road to healing. And just by doing the research for the Blog Talk Radio show, it's actually kind of helping me to see different avenues and different approaches that a person can take to actually get the help that they need, because everyone is different and everyone has experienced different things and different types of abuse and different, it's just affected them differently and different. It's just, there's so much information out there for people who have just gone through all kinds of different things. So I definitely don't have all the answers. I'm not a counselor or a legal advisor, and I'm not qualified to counsel anyone. This is just one child abuse survivor to another, just walking my own healing processes out. And I would definitely suggest that I would get the professional help that you need and really look around, because there is some great information out there. I know just looking at the websites that I've been on, I've been able to find some great information. I volunteer for Dreamcatchers For Abused Children .com down in the States, and they have a great website full of all kinds of great information. And it's when I saw that website, I just really I just could see the amount of work and the amount of time and effort and energy that the founder, Sandra Potter, and her volunteers and whoever has helped her to create that website with all the information that's in there. That has really taken some time to do that, and it just shows. And when I first saw that website, I was just really it just was like a light in my life, and I just thought, this is so awesome. And it just felt so good to see that, because they're two moms on a mission. That's Sandra Potter and Donna Cashier, and they both co-author books and stuff. Get on their website and check it out. That is they have their own website .com, Dreamcatchers For Abused Children.com. And we're going to look at some stuff from their child abuse handbook that was compiled by Donna Cashier and Sandra Potter. And I thought we might look at this evening. We might look at regrouping and also moving on, as far as our healing processes go. And this is all new for me too, so I'm just going to be reading it, and we can just talk about it as we go. And if you're hurting out there, and if you're in an abusive situation or if you're in danger, make sure that you get the help that you need. I mean, I'm going to say this right now instead of waiting till the end of the show. I'd really prefer that you go get the help that you need. And don't worry about my show. It'll probably still be here. Child abuse hotline, 24 hours, 1-800-387-5437. And this is up in Canada. This is Alberta. Down in the States, just dial 911 or dial the crisis lines down in the States, because there's people waiting to help, and people who know how to direct you to the proper resources. www.suicide That is a great resource. And if you're thinking about suicide or contemplating suicide and you just think there's no hope, well, I got a message for you, and that is that suicide is never the answer, and you want to get the help that you need. And there's just some great resources everywhere. And if you just start looking around, you can see that they're just everywhere. I actually belong to quite a few chat groups, and that's really helping me out, actually, to meet people who have been through similar types of abuse that I have, and so whether varying degrees, a lot of it worse than mine, and you can really see how, like, the road that they've taken and the paths that they've taken to deal with their trauma that they've experienced. It's very helpful to see what they've done and what works in their lives, and I would really recommend finding a place that you feel comfortable at, and you can even use a fake name. You can just go in anonymously, and you don't even have to give your real name, and you can just sit in these chat rooms and really get a lot of you can get a lot of information, first of all, and people have great resources, what's helped them out and what works for them, and also they can kind of steer you in the right direction for what kind of professional help that you might need, and also it's just a friend, someone to talk to. You don't even have, that's the whole issue. You can be as open as you like, because that's what's encouraged in a lot of those, not all the chat rooms, but some of them are quite encouraging that way. I just joined another chat room today, and it's called Fort Refuge Child Abuse and Family Crisis Support, fortrefuge.com, and that's a child abuse survivors website. Lots of great information on there, and also different kinds of chat rooms for different kinds of issues, and multiple disorder issues and cutting issues, harming yourself issues. There's chat rooms devoted to those specific and very specific issues that people like you, people like me, are dealing with on a daily basis, and trying to work out in our lives so that we can have some sort of a normal life. And I have to say, I've come a long way, and it's been many years since I've actually been sort of dealing with the stress of that post-traumatic stress disorder. Things in my life are quite, I'd say, just really good right now. And I've come a long, long way, because it wasn't always like that for me. That's why I really thought about doing this blog talk radio show, just to say, look, there's hope. You can do it. I just wanted to be one more voice out there, just to encourage people that doesn't matter how dark it is for you right now, you just have to hang in there and believe that it can happen, because it can. I've seen it happen before, and it happened to me, and it's happened now. I'm running into people, all these survivors out there, who have stories that just, really serious stuff. And they're surviving it, they're making it. It's proof, living proof to me. It's actually really inspiring to me to hear their stories. So yeah, I would suggest that. Get on those websites and check it out. And I'll go through and name a few of them later, and actually give you the information on where they're at on the websites. On the internet. So regrouping here on this is Dreamcatchers For Abused Children's Child Abuse Handbook, compiled by Donna Cashier and Sandra Potter, and they're talking about regrouping. I'm going to read and actually quote right from the page, so I'm not going to read anything in that's not there. You can actually follow along if you wanted to. That's a free download on their website. You can get this Child Abuse Handbook free. It's PDF, and you can just download it for free. They're just giving this information away because it's really important that people have this information. So regrouping, this phase involves, this is what Donna Cashier and Sandra Potter write, this phase involves many positive changes in survivors' attitudes and feelings. In this stage, they develop a new sense of trust in others, but most importantly, they start to trust themselves. And this phase includes learning from the past, examining the present, and planning for the future. And many survivors have suggested that this stage represents a transition from merely existing to actively living. And when we think about that, that's so true. If all we're going to do is concentrate, if all we can do, right, is concentrate on the negative and concentrate on, the lack of trust that we have, then we're not going to get very far. But if we learn, in a professional counseling type situation with therapists or with people who are trained counselors to regroup and learn how to change our attitudes and feelings and move them into like a positive change. It's they've said they develop a new sense of trust, so we would develop a new sense of trust in others, and most importantly, they would start to trust themselves. That's what they said. So yeah, we would start to trust ourselves as we trust others, and that's true. I know, even looking at my own personal situation, I like to trust people, and but for years and years and years I didn't trust anybody. And then I met some people that I thought I could trust, and then I found out that I couldn't trust them. So that really blew the whole trust issue out of the water for me. That was a few years ago, and I lost a really good friend, and that just because of that. I thought this person was in my life for good, and I thought that this person was never ever going to hurt me, and that's just the whole issue. That's just unrealistic, and people do hurt people. They do say stupid things and do dumb things, but knowing my situation, I thought that this person would be able to sort of kind of treat me a little bit more kinder, and with some extra sort of, I don't want to say extra special treatment. I'm just saying maybe with a little bit more sensitivity, knowing what kind of how I was feeling about things, and how I not so much now, but did have a lack of trust. And so this can happen to people in every situation. Trusting our partners, trusting our the people in our lives, our family. A lot of times, just trusting anyone, because once that sense of trust is broken, it is very, very hard to get it back, and to where you would trust anybody, including yourself. And I used to have people would actually say to me, they'd say, for some reason, I don't know why, they'd make comments and say stuff like, well, what, are you afraid of me or something, just dumb comments like that. And I'd be like, no, I'm actually more afraid of myself. Because I know, they don't know what's going through my mind, right, that I could really probably do a lot more damage to myself than they ever could. And so, I never did actually try to self-harm myself intentionally. I did a lot of drugs, and just thought that it wasn't necessarily with the intent to hurt myself. It was mostly just this issue that I needed to escape. And so I used to do a lot of different kinds of drugs, and that was definitely damaging, and it can't be good for you, and I know that it's not, and it did take its toll. But the thing is I'm drug-free, and I'm walking around living proof that it can be done. I also quit smoking cigarettes last year, and after 25 years of smoking, over a pack a day. So I'm just telling you, it can be done. And every day I'm just like, no, I cannot ever have another cigarette. When I have a day where I just feel like I need a cigarette so bad, I'm just like, no, you just cannot have one. You just can't, because what'll happen. So I don't allow myself to do drugs. I do not really drink a whole lot of alcohol. I mean, I don't mind having a drink, but I certainly know when to cut myself off. And just because of the issues that I had with drugs and my family, some of my brothers and actually, 2 of my brothers died with, really related to drug use, and it's just sad to see that in anybody's family. But I also had a lot of friends whose lives were affected by drugs, and that's in my blogs that you can read if you'd like. And I have 2 blogs on Blogger, and one is Not So Fond Memories, Growing Up in an Abusive Home, and the other one is Promote Positive Change for Human Rights Abuses. So yeah, we can definitely make some great changes in our lives by just taking a look at maybe getting into some therapy, and or getting in with some groups who are talking about issues of regrouping, making positive changes in our attitudes and feelings so that we can develop a new sense of trust. And this is what they were talking about here, Sandra Potter and Donna Kashir. And also learning from the past, examining the present, and planning for the future. So in other words, really sitting down and thinking about it. I know when I was growing up, I didn't really consider planning for the future. It just didn't seem very hopeful to me, especially when I was a young teen. And I know I always had these ideas, like, oh, I'd like to be this or that, or I'd like to be a stewardess, or I'd like to be, in the military or whatever. I'd always say stuff like that, but I was never seriously thinking that I was going to ever amount to anything. And I think that's what happens when you grow up in an abusive home, or when you have parents who just don't support you, and don't kind of encourage their children to try to not overachieve, but just to do the best that they can in everything that they do, and to keep pushing and planning for their future. And I wasn't the only child in that family, and all of us kind of suffered from that. And even though quite a few of my brothers and sisters have done well for themselves, it's just that it does make a difference. And I think that if you don't have that growing up, it can definitely change. I mean, it can definitely it affects the way that you look at your life. You learn, you're not so much going to plan for your future, and you're not going to so much examine the choices that you're making in your day-to-day walk. Like, I love my friends, and I still do, and I don't begrudge meeting them at all. And I think that had I had the chance to change it, just to not meet my friends, I think what I would have done is actually just not done the drugs and try to help them get off the drugs, because that's the whole issue, that we were all just enabling each other to continue that lifestyle. And I got out, and some of my friends didn't, and one of my friends was shot and killed in his driveway. Probably they figure it was a drug deal gone bad, and he was heavily hooked on bad drugs, and the guy just ruined his life. And he had a wonderful life, and he was a musician. He had a CD out with a band, and he was an awesome musician. And he just the drugs just killed, really did unrelatedly, relatedly, I guess, kill him, but it wasn't the drugs, it was just a gun. So it's just sad. That's how, if you're not making the right choices and you're not planning for the future, then you're just not going to get very far. And that's the whole issue. When I was 21, I decided that, right around 21, because my brother had killed himself, and at that point, I kind of hit a low, and I thought, this is really, really ridiculous. I do not want to live my life suffering along like this for the rest of my entire life. And watching this destructive behavior, I thought, if I don't get off drugs, and if I don't straighten my act up and make the changes that I need to make for myself, it's just not going to happen. And I'm going to end up on the street like some of my friends, or I'm going to end up dead from an overdose, like it can happen. My other brother actually died from a drug overdose years later, but at that point it had just been my one brother committing suicide. So I thought, I have to stop, and I want to change my life. And really, something took hold of me, and I told my friends, I just said, I can no longer hang out with you guys. And things had been getting so violent with some of my friends, domestic violence issues, and their relationship was spilling over to me just because I was hanging around with them all the time. And I had already grown up like that, and in a home that was kind of, just steady domestic violence and child abuse. And it just, I thought, I really need something good in my life, and something, positive. And my, right after my brother had committed suicide, really the only super positive thing that came out of that period of my life was my niece was born. My sister had her baby, and she was married, and they had a baby girl, and my niece was born. And that was like really the saving grace, because at that time there was just nothing good in my life, period. But when my niece was born, it really gave me sort of a new sense that, hey, this is good, right? I mean, this is good. So it did give me something to focus on, and that actually might have been a bit of a catalyst for me to straighten up and to try to get it back. I don't know if I personally thought about that, at the time, but I look back on it now, and I think that was about the only positive thing that was going on in my life at the time. And I think that was probably a big issue, is that I really wanted to straighten up. Otherwise I wasn't going to be able to have any kind of relationship with my niece. And she was just such a sweet little baby, and she still is. She's just awesome, and I just love her. And so that's just it. We can, if we make the right choices and we start planning for the future. This is good for, I was thinking, regrouping here. These are things that we can do in our lives, even on our own, by, maybe journaling, or, just sitting down and making lists of learning from our past, examining the present, and planning for the future. Like, you could have one one section on your page, learning from the past, and write down some past things, choices and things that I did that just that I think were monumental in causing me to stay in that frame of mind, which, a sort of self-destructive frame of mind. And also pain, and also you could also write down what they've said here, examining the present. You could put down present, what's going on in your life right now, and you could put what's going good and what's going not so good, right? And then you could take a look at it, and then you can put down maybe a section for planning for the future, what you would like to do for the future. Because when you see this all laid out in front of you, I actually do stuff like this on my own. I do a lot of journaling, and I do a lot of writing lists of things, pros and cons to things. Like when I'm going for jobs, looking for jobs, things like that, I always do a pro and a con list, like what's good about it, what's bad about it, because it really helps you see it right in front of your eyes. It's something tangible that your mind won't have to wander away from. You can look right at your page and see it right in front of you. It's a little bit easier to look at, and then you can analyze it a little bit better because it's all right there. So that's just an idea that I'm just throwing out. I know I like to do that, and I probably will start doing more of it now, just because of this information here. They also wrote, moving on, this stage includes a shift in focus from the negative experiences of the past to positive plans for the future. Painful feelings and emotions do not dominate memories from the past. Positive coping skills developed in earlier stages are enhanced and assist survivors in moving on with their lives. Several coping skills that can help survivors to move on include learning to love and accept themselves, recognizing and celebrating personal growth, and creating a healthy support team, grieving current losses as they occur, and learning to deal with stress effectively, and recognizing when it is time to let go of painful feelings. Now that's interesting. That's really good information right there. I'm thinking, painful feelings and emotions do not dominate memories from the past. So positive coping skills developed in earlier stages are enhanced and assist survivors in moving on with their lives. So I guess that's it. If you have to learn how to love yourself and accept yourself. If you didn't learn that as a young person and didn't learn, and no one actually told you anything positive when you were growing up, and really all you heard was negative comments, then that's what you believe about yourself. And that's, I know in my case, that's what happened to me, and I just felt worthless, and that I wasn't wanted, and that I was just sort of in the way and causing problems all the time, and that I was a bad kid. So that's how I looked at myself, and that's also how I behaved because of it. So if we can learn how to love ourselves and how to accept ourselves for who we are, the good and the bad, right? Because nobody's perfect, and I know, even myself, like I like to laugh at myself actually, because I do some really stupid things, and I know it's just I'm not perfect, and I can't be perfect as much as I want to be perfect. I want people to like me. I guess I'm working extra time and overtime on that, just because I spent so many years just kind of hating life and hating myself and hating this world and hating everything, that, once I really realized I did love myself and I did want to live and I did want to succeed in this life and just try to help people and do whatever I can to help myself as well, I think I'm kind of working overtime in that department. So then when something happens and I make a mistake, then all the feelings come back again. Oh, well, I'm just stupid, or I do the dumbest things, or I just can't do anything right, or whatever. And I have to give myself a shake and say, no, remember, you're not perfect, and neither is anybody else. Neither is that person nor that person. And so whether you might think they're perfect, but they're not. So that's the whole issue. We have to just learn how to love and accept ourselves, and really just learn from our mistakes. That's the biggest thing, I think. And I've got a friend in the chat room. Hello, Pedro. And I hope you're getting something out of this show. And if you have any kind of comments or topics that you'd like to bring up, be sure and let me know. And it's great. I'm just happy to be here, and I know it helps to have people to talk to and just have someone to validate what maybe what you've gone through. And I think a lot of times that's what we're looking for, is just some validation and some just learning how to recognize and celebrate, like our first of all surviving what we survived, and also just having a healthy support team. And that's what they were talking about here tonight. Well, actually, on this child abuse handbook from Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, I would highly recommend that you just download that if you can. And that is on the Dreamcatchers for Abused Children website, and it's a great resource. And so yeah, it says celebrating personal growth, creating a healthy support team. So that's having people around you who are supporting you emotionally and helping you to, well, and actually know about the issues in your life and stuff, and maybe have gone through some of them themselves, who can relate and understand. And that's why I like these chat rooms, because I find that these people know what I'm talking about. Like, they know what I'm going through. And even though I've kind of already moved on from a lot of my pain, I have days where it kind of comes back. It's a reoccurring. Maybe there's just something that triggers it, and before you know it, I'm back feeling kind of down. And it's good to have a place to go, and where you can these people understand exactly what you're going through, because they've gone through it. And I'm going to actually read some of those off now. I've got about 3 minutes left in the show. And first of all, very important, suicide crisis and suicide prevention information. This is so important because my brother killed himself. Not funny at all. Get the help that you need if you think you're going to do something like that, because it's never the answer. And there is help. www.suicide.org, and there's also www.suicideinfo.ca. Just start getting on the computer and typing it in and get that information and get yourself well. And then make sure that you come on my show and tell me all about how you survived and that you're doing well. And this is what I want to hear. I want to hear that from all of my friends and from everybody out there. And, that you've done it and you can do it, and we're walking it together, because I'm telling you, I'm just one child abuse survivor out of millions. And, there's so many that have gone on, that have just passed on, or, took their own lives, or their lives were taken from them. And I tell you, I'm a voice for them. I'm speaking up for them. And we have to stand together to raise our voices and say it's not right. And I loved my parents. I'm not going to bash anybody, but it wasn't right at all what they did, and so I can't condone that behavior. And so I'm standing up and I'm saying no, it wasn't right. And I hope that you'll join me, and I hope that you'll do whatever you can to get the help that you need. And if you know someone who's going through this, that you'll reach out to them and try to help them out as well. And there's some great information here. I have Dreamcatchers for Abused Children. I would highly suggest that, because they have all kinds of information. They're on the website. They've got MySpace. They're on Twitter. They're on YouTube. They have a blog talk radio show, Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, and that is just like it's spelled, dreamcatchersforabusedchildren.com. Then there is, for women, the Real Grace for Women Network at www.realgracenetwork.org. Real Grace for Women, and that's a faith-based organization. Actually, this lady's going to be on with me on Sunday, Karen, and she's going to come and talk about the Real Grace for Women Network and give us some information regarding that. And she's a real nice lady, and she's a good friend of mine. We also have Hope for Healing. That's a Gail Crabtree. She's an advocate for domestic violence and violent sexual abuse, and also child abuse. She's an advocate against abuse of all kinds. And this lady is awesome, Gail Crabtree. She has a blog talk radio show as well, and hopeforhealing.org is her blog on her website. But the blog talk radio show is called Voices of Hope, and you don't want to miss that. And also there is on Facebook, Men Are Survivors Too, Domestic Violence Resources for the Male Victim. And that's awesome. That's a great group, and a friend of mine heads that up, John. And he's a great guy. And if you have any issues or problems and you really need help with, reach out, because men are survivors too. And domestic violence affects us all. It affects men, women, children, and so does child abuse. And I tell you, make sure you reach out and get the help that you need. I'll be back on here, tomorrow morning, 5:30 in the morning, Mountain Standard Time, and I hope that you'll join me. 15-minute chat, one child abuse survivor to another. And if you have any topics or information that you'd like to add or share, make sure that you do let me know, and you can phone in. And I look forward to hearing from you real soon. I hope you have a great night. And make sure that you do reach out and get that help. And that's all I can say. I can't even say it strongly enough, because you do count, you do matter, and it's up to you.